Hello my friends, it is July the 1st of 2024. This video is entitled 25 Essential Nu Metal Albums. I've been a huge fan of nu metal since my early teens. I was a teenager back in the early to mid 2000s, and at that time nu metal was very popular. It was at its peak at that time, and so that's what I got really heavily into, and just discovered so many great nu metal bands. And nu metal also helped me get deeper into heavy metal music also. But yeah, that was a really special time in my life, and still I enjoy nu metal all these years later. I still listen to a lot of nu metal albums regularly. I just absolutely love the music so much, and I know other people out there really enjoy nu metal also. So I decided to make this list of what I consider to be 25 essential nu metal albums. Okay, so let's get right into this. Up first is Korn with Untouchables. This album came out in 2002. This is Korn's fifth album. Such a phenomenal band, what many people consider to be the founders of the whole nu metal style. They've put out so many great albums throughout the years, and they've been such a consistent band also. This album right here is just phenomenal. They have, of course, so many other great albums, but I decided to list this album here. Just so many great songs on this album, excellent production, great musicianship, just a solid album. Really enjoy this one so much. Okay, so that is Korn with Untouchables. Disturbed with The Sickness. This album came out in 2000. This is Disturbed's first album. What an incredible debut album this is. So many great songs in here, like Voices, The Game, Stupefied, Down with the Sickness. This album is just phenomenal. Very consistent throughout. And yeah, Disturbed, what a great band. A band that continues to put out great quality albums. Okay, so that is Disturbed with The Sickness. Cold Chamber with their self-titled album. This album came out in 1997. This is Cold Chamber's first album. They didn't release that many albums. I think they only put out, like 3 or 4 albums. Interesting band. I definitely enjoy this one quite a bit. It's a pretty solid debut album right here. Of course, you have songs like Loco, Bradley, Big Truck. This album is pretty good. It's a pretty cool album. I really enjoy this one so much. And yeah, I remember listening to this one back in high school as well, and really enjoying it back then, and I still enjoy it to this day. Okay, so yeah, great album right here. This is Cold Chamber with their self-titled album. Drowning Pool with Sinner. This album came out in 2001. This is Drowning Pool's first album. Yeah, I remember purchasing this album around that time and really being blown away by it. Such a great album right here. Of course, you have songs like Sinner and Bodies. Obviously Bodies, that's such a well-known song, and other great songs in here as well, like Tear Away, and yeah, just so many excellent songs on here. What a great debut album this is. I personally have not really kept up on this band throughout the years, but this album right here is just phenomenal. Of course, Dave Williams, the vocalist of this band, he passed away, I believe, in 2002, so about a year after the release of this album. Very unfortunate, but yeah, what a great vocalist he was, and yeah, just a solid album right here. Okay, so that is Drowning Pool with Sinner. Mudvayne with The End of All Things to Come. This album came out in 2002. This is Mudvayne's second album. Really enjoy this one so much. I know a lot of people would choose like LD50 as being their more essential album, but I would disagree with that. To me, this is a better album in my opinion. The songs are just better written and better production, and yeah, this is a great album that has a lot of intricate qualities to it. It's more sort of like proggy metal somewhat. I know some people have referred to this as being sort of like math metal, but yeah, definitely still has a lot of nu metal elements here as well. But yeah, what a great band, and this album is just phenomenal. A personal favorite of mine, that's for sure. Okay, so that is Mudvayne with The End of All Things to Come. Linkin Park with Meteora. This album came out in 2003. This is their second release. Of course, you have to include Linkin Park. Such a phenomenal band that released so many great albums, and this album right here is considered by a lot of people to be their best album. Their first album is really great as well, Hybrid Theory. That's a phenomenal album, and I was considering having that album on this list, but I decided to go with this one instead. I just love this album so much, and I know other people really enjoy this album as well. It's like a greatest hits album almost. I mean, all the songs in here are just absolutely phenomenal. It's just incredible. A must own, that's for sure. And yeah, great album right here. Okay, so that is Linkin Park with Meteora. Taproot with The Gift. This album came out in 2000. This is their first album. I'm not really too familiar with this band. I have listened to this album, of course, but yeah, great band, great album. Definitely a beloved band within the new metal scene. And yeah. Okay, so that is Taproot with The Gift. Deftones with White Pony. This album came out in 2000. This is their third release. Of course, you have to have Deftones on this list, and their earlier albums especially really fit within that sort of new metal sound, but they've kind of developed or altered their sound throughout the years and have sort of gone beyond that. But yeah, what a great album this is right here. I do recall listening to this album in high school as well. You have so many great songs in here, like Digital Bath and Change. Yeah, great album. Really enjoy this band so much. Excellent songwriting here. Absolutely essential. Okay, so that is Deftones with White Pony. Limp Bitzkit with Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavoured Water. This album came out in 2000. Of course, you have to have Limp Bitzkit on this list. Definitely one of the most important new metal bands. Of course, hated by so many people, but also loved by so many other people. I definitely enjoy their music. But yeah, great stuff. Okay, so you have songs like My Generation and My Way, Roland. I mean, this album it's pretty solid. I haven't really kept up on them since the release of this album. I know they have released some of their albums, but yeah, this one is definitely essential. I remember listening to this one quite a bit when I was like 14, 15, and yeah, enjoyed it so much. I can still listen to it today and appreciate it still. Okay, so that is Limp Bitzkit with Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavoured Water. Staying with Dysfunction. This album came out in 1999. This is their second album. Staying are a personal favorite of mine. I just absolutely love their music. I have all their albums, and such a great band. And they definitely had a little bit more of a grungier type of sound, I suppose. You could definitely hear some like Alice in Chains, as well as Korn influences on this album. Very heavy and dark sounding, and of course Aaron Lou is such a phenomenal vocalist, has a very unique style of vocal, and yeah, excellent musicianship on this album, and yeah, just so many great songs in here. Love this album so much, absolutely essential. Okay, so that is Staying with the Dysfunction. Adema with their self-titled album. This came out in 2001. This is their first album. Yeah, I remember buying this album when I was around 15 or 16, and yeah, lots of great songs on here, like Giving In, Freaking Out. Yeah, pretty cool album right here. Definitely has some resemblance to Korn. Definitely some similarities there. In fact, the vocalist of this band, I believe his name is Marky Chevet. He's the half brother of Jonathan Davis of Korn, so you can definitely hear some similarities in the vocals. And yeah, but what a great album this is right here. Great debut album. I haven't really kept up on this band either throughout the years, but this is definitely a solid album, and an album that I definitely consider to be essential. Okay, so that is Adema with their self-titled album. Soil with Scars. This album came out in 2001. This is their second album. Yeah, I've had this album for many years. I just love this album so much. I mean, so many great songs in here, like Breaking Me Down, Halo, Need to Feel, My Own, Unreal. I mean, this is an album that really spoke to me as a teenager. The lyrics are quite meaningful on here, and yeah, just lots of really cool songs, lots of memorable songs in here. Pretty heavy stuff as well. And yeah, just a solid album. Okay, so that is Soil with Scars. Slipknot with Iowa. This album came out in 2001. This is their second album. This album is just an absolute masterpiece. An album that I just fell in love with when I was like 15 years old. I remember a friend of mine at school, he had this album, and I borrowed it from him, and I listened to it quite a lot. And I was just blown away because I hadn't really heard anything like this previously, and this album definitely helped me really get much more deeper into metal music. And it's just so heavy and aggressive, this album. They definitely incorporated like some death metal influences into their sort of like nu metal style. I mean, their sound has definitely somewhat changed throughout the years. I mean, you can't really consider them to be associated so much with the nu metal scene anymore, but in the early days they definitely were a part of that nu metal scene. It definitely brought some other elements into the nu metal sound, which were very much appreciated. And yeah, such a great album right here, just phenomenal. Okay, so that is Slipknot with Iowa. Roach with Lovehatetragedy. This album came out in 2002. This is their second album, or third album, I believe. Yeah, I think this is their third album. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, great album right here. Roach, they definitely had some more, I guess, some commercial type elements going on within their sound. And but yeah, lots of great songs on here. Pretty heavy stuff with lots of catchy songs. And yeah, I think it's just pretty solid stuff on here. And yeah, Roach have released quite a few good albums throughout 3 years. And yeah, pretty solid band, and this album's pretty good. Okay, so that is Roach with the Lovehatetragedy. Cold with 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage. This album came out in 2000. This is their second release. Yeah, I really enjoy this band so much, and definitely a personal favorite of mine. It's definitely darker, more melancholic sounding. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely compare them to Stained. They definitely have some resemblances to Stained, but definitely doing their own thing still. But yeah, just a very unique band that has some pretty good albums. This song, or the songs in this album, are just phenomenal. So many great songs in here. In fact, I mean, you just got Wicked, She Said, No One, End of the World. I mean, this entire album is just fantastic. Yeah, what a great album. I've listened to this one a lot throughout the years. I really enjoy this album so much, and definitely an essential nu metal album in my opinion. Okay, so that is Cold with 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage. Nonpoint with the Statement. This album came out in 2000. This is their first album. A band that I'm not too familiar with. I have listened to this album, of course, but I know they have released a bunch of other albums, and I'm just not really too familiar with them, but I know lots of fans of nu metal really enjoy this band so much, and this is considered an essential album by so many fans of nu metal, so I decided to put this on the list. And yeah, pretty solid album right here. Okay, so yeah, this is Nonpoint with the Statement. System of a Down with the Toxicity. This album came out in 2001. This is their second album. Just an absolute masterpiece, this album. I remember getting into this album back when it came out. And that would have been back in 2001. It came out in September of 2001, so I was 15 years old at that time, and I remember hearing this album or listening to it quite a bit, and just being absolutely blown away by it, because there's just nothing out there that sounded like this at that time, and it was just so unique for that time. And this album and this band is still very unique. But yeah, you have so many great songs here, like Prison Song and Dear Dance, Chop Suey, of course, which is such a popular song. Forest, I really love that song. Toxicity, the title track. I mean, what a phenomenal album, just a masterpiece. A band that just incorporated so many unique elements into their music and just had such a fun sound as well. And yeah, really great stuff. What a great band. Unfortunately, they haven't put out an album in many years, but what they did release was just phenomenal, and this album especially is just absolutely essential. Okay, so that is System of a Down with the Toxicity. Mushroomhead with 13. This album came out in 2003. This is their fourth album, I believe. And I never really got too heavily into this band, to be honest, but I know so many nu metal fans just absolutely love this band, and this album is considered an essential album by so many fans of Mushroomhead and just nu metal in general. It is a pretty good album. I have listened to it a fair bit. I haven't really listened to their other albums so much, but yeah, this one's pretty solid, and yeah, definitely a great band and a great album right here. Definitely essential. Okay, so that is Mushroomhead with 13. Godsmack with Awake. This album came out in 2000. This is their second album. I could have included their first album. That's pretty good as well, but I think this one is definitely better. And there's so many great songs on here, like Sick of Life, Awake, which is a very popular song, Greed. I mean, excellent songs in here. I mean, even the last song on this album, Spiral, what a great song that is. Really love this album so much. I recall buying this one when I was 14, so this album would have come out around, I think, yeah, it came out in 2000, so yeah, that's when I purchased it. And yeah, just listened to it a lot, and yeah, I really enjoyed this album so much then, and I still enjoy it now. It's pretty dark sounding as well, and it definitely spoke to me as a young teenage guy. And yeah, what a great album this one is. Okay, so that is Godsmack with Awake. P.O.D with Satellite. This album came out in 2001. I think this is their fourth album. Never really got into this band that much, but I know people just absolutely love this band, and especially this album. Of course, you have some pretty popular songs in here, like Set It Off, Alive, Youth of the Nation, which is an excellent song. Really enjoyed that one, but I never really personally got really heavily into this band, but I know so many people just absolutely love this band. And so yeah, I definitely consider it to be an essential new metal album. Okay, so that is P.O.D with Satellite. Static X with Wisconsin Death Trip. This album came out in 1999. I believe this is their first album. Yeah, I remember listening to this one in high school and just really enjoying it. I mean, you've got songs like Push, I'm a Stupid, and there's so many great songs. I mean, they definitely had more of like an industrial type of sound. And yeah, I remember being really blown away by this when I first heard it back in my early high school days when I was like 14, 15. And what an interesting band, and what a great album right here. Wayne Static, the vocalist of this band, he passed away, I believe, back in 2014. Very tragic, but I believe they still are around. And yeah, as far as I know, they are still putting out some albums. But yeah, this is a great debut album right here. Okay, so that is Static X with the Wisconsin Death Trip. Flaw with Through the Eyes. This album came out in 2001. This is their first album. Great album right here. A personal favorite of mine. I really enjoy this album. I mean, so many excellent songs right here, like Payback, Hole, which is just such a deep song. And yeah, this entire album is just fantastic. Definitely darker sounding, and I would say a little bit more on the maybe somewhat similar to Stained as well, maybe a little bit. They definitely have that sort of more melancholic kind of vibe going on. Pretty good stuff right here. Yeah, just a well-written album right here, and yeah, an essential new metal album. Okay, so that is Flaw with Through the Eyes. Kittie with Spit. This album came out in 2000. This is their first album. I never really got too heavily into this band either. This is the only album I have from them. And yeah, great debut album though. And of course you have the title track Spit, and Charlotte Brackish, which is a fantastic song. I really enjoy that one so much. But yeah, an all-female new metal band right here. Very unique and pretty solid music here. Well-written music, interesting stuff. So many people enjoy this band, and yeah, great album. Okay, so that is Kittie with Spit. Sevendust with Home. This album came out in 1999. This is their second album. Great album. I've been listening to this one actually quite a bit as of lately, and unfortunately I never really got too heavily into this band for whatever reason, because I should have gotten more heavily into them, because they're just fantastic. I really enjoy their stuff. I mean, so many great songs on here, like Head Trip, Waffle, which is a great song. I remember watching the music video for that one. It was just fantastic. But yeah, just excellent songs on this album. Pretty heavy stuff, and yeah, great musicianship, excellent production. Yeah, this album is just solid. An essential new metal album. Okay, so that is Sevendust with Home. All right, and the last album on my list is Powerman 5000 with Tonight the Stars Revolt. This album came out in 1999. This is their second album. phenomenal album. I remember listening to this album when I was like 14, 15, and yeah, it just blew me away as well because I had not heard anything like this previously. This album definitely has some more industrial elements as well. I would say it's somewhat similar to like Rob Zombie. The vocalist of this band, he's actually the younger brother of Rob Zombie. So yeah, there's definitely some similarities in sound. But yeah, what a great album right here. I haven't really kept up on this band throughout the years, but this album I really enjoy, and I know so many people consider this to be one of the more essential nu metal albums out there. Of course, you have songs like Supernova Goes Pop, When Worlds Collide, Nobody's Real. I mean, what a great album with just so many catchy songs, so many memorable songs. Just a very fun album, just so enjoyable to listen to, and yeah, great album right here. Essential nu metal album. Okay, so that is Powerman 5000 with Tonight the Stars Revolt. Okay, so that is my list of 25 essential nu metal albums. So many great albums right here. If you're not familiar with some of them, definitely check them out. So yeah, I just absolutely love nu metal music so much. And so yeah, when I discovered nu metal music back in the early to mid 2000s as a teenager, when nu metal was at its peak, that was just such a sacred time in my life. And yeah, I still reflect upon those times and how important it all was. And yeah, after all these years, I still appreciate nu metal as an older adult now. And yeah, I just love this music so much, and I continue to listen to it and enjoy it so much. And so yeah, let me know what you consider to be some of the more essential nu metal albums. I'm very curious to know. Please leave some comments, and give me a like, and subscribe to my channel if you don't. And yeah, I'd very much appreciate all of that. Okay, so I want to say thank you very much for watching, and I want to say thanks to all the people who watch my videos and subscribe to my channel. I really, truly appreciate it. Take care, my friends. Cheers.